Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to art. We are now doing some virtual learning once again. So what I want to do is tell you about today's project. Today's project is going to take about 3 weeks to do. Now, if you do not have the art supplies today, do not worry. You can watch the video today, and then throughout the week, you can gather some supplies, and you can try to get part 1 finished. Now, I also want to tell you that in art, you can improvise. You do not have to use exactly the same stuff that I'm using, but it does help. So watch the video, see what I'm doing for part 1, and then you'll have a week until we meet again to get it done, okay? So here is what you need for part 1 today. I'm going to be using some plain white paper. If it's thicker, it's better, but I'm going to use thinner paper just to see how it works. I have some scissors, a pencil, and some glue, okay? I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I think I'll probably end up using the glue stick. I'm also finding in my house something that's round, okay? Now here I happen to have a paper plate, but you can use a plate that's in your cupboard or the edge of a container or something that is round because you're going to be tracing it, okay? So those are the supplies that you need. Now, you also want to find in your house an old hanger, okay? So any old hanger will do. Here's a plastic one. Here is one that has some velvet on it, and a hanger from the dry cleaner, which is just the simple metal one, is perfect for this as well, okay? So now that you know what you need to gather, I'm actually gonna put up a sign right here so that way you can take notes while you're watching, and let's get started. All right, so boys and girls, I decided to make our project based around the shape of a cone. Now, a cone is a solid or a hollow object which tapers from a circular or roughly circular base. Now, we all know what a cone looks like. Basically, a pine tree is shaped like a cone, a gnome's hat is shaped like a cone, a traffic cone is the shape of a cone, okay? And one of the things I notice in art is kids have a hard time making a cone. So that's why I decided, let's use this as a learning day to make a cone to start. So here is how I make the cone. I take the plate, which is the round object that I'm going to use, because a cone starts out with a half of a circle. So if I pan you down here, I'm going to take my piece of paper, and I'm going to take my paper plate, find the middle of it. I'll turn my paper like that. Just plop it down. And I'm going to trace half of my circle. Okay? Now that I have half the circle, I don't need the plate anymore, actually, that's done. I'm going to cut out half of the circle. Just like that. Now, with half the circle, I'm going to bring the two flat sides together and overlap them. And look at that. You got yourself a cone. Pretty cool, right? So I'm going to take the glue, and I hope my glue is still sticky. Yep. I'm going to throw some glue on the one side of the cone. And what you can do is you can figure out how wide you want your cone to be or how narrow you want it to be by sliding the edges back and forth. But I'm going to make mine about that size. And just like that, you've made a cone. All right, so just like that, I have a cone. Now, I can use my imagination and I can start to turn this into thousands of different things. Because when you're an artist, you have to start taking your eye, looking at something and breaking it down into simple shapes. And that's how artists learn to make so many cool things. So, using our cone, we're going to create a really cool project using the hanger and the cone to create a dragon, okay? So don't get rid of this paper because we're going to use this part next, all right? Now, if you notice, I have a piece of paper here and a piece of paper here and kind of goes across. So what I'm going to do is let's use this piece of paper. Let me move you down. Okay, that extra paper off. And now that I have my scraps, this is going to become the dragon head. Okay, so I'm just going to lop off this piece of paper like that. Okay, so here are all of our puzzle pieces to make the dragon head. We have the cone, we have this piece, and we have this piece. So, all right, and see how it looks like a half pipe? You're gonna take the ends of the half pipe and bring them together so it's sticky right here, and bring the bottom of the other side over to it and overlap it a little bit. See how I did that? And then take a little glue. Okay. And we're gonna put this inside the cone, just like that. And we're gonna give it a little bend. And you see how it's gonna start to make the top of the dragon's head? Now you're probably thinking, no, I don't see that, Mr. Price. Well, you have to take some scissors, and what I want you to do is go in and sculpt out using your eye. You can, of course, draw it first. Okay. Do you see how it made the top of the head? And I think what I'll do is I'll cut this down so he's not so wide. So you might want to try that. Put a little glue on it. Oops. And flip one side on top of the other so I get this little point. See that? How there's a cone right there connected to a straight piece. And I think I'm going to take this and I'm going to glue this right to the middle. So I glued it down the center, and you can see how it made the point of the dragon's face. And you can see up close, mine's not perfect. I have little rough pieces hanging all over. But if I want, I can go in and trim that. But I'm not going to see it when I'm done, so I'm not worried about that. Right now, I'm creating something called the armature. The armature is the skeleton of the sculpture. Now, I have some scrap pieces here, and I can certainly put them on. But what I want to do is show you that we're going to take the hanger, okay? And for this, you might need some tape, okay? But you're going to take the hook of the hanger, and we're going to tape it inside the head of the dragon. So I think I'll take this tape here. Now, if you don't have this kind of tape, you can use Scotch tape or any other kind of tape, duct tape. Maybe you have some duct tape laying around. You can also glue it in and let it sit overnight. But I just want to show you now I have the frame for the dragon's wings on my sculpture now. I think I'll go back in and tweak those ears a bit. See that? Oops. So, I'm starting to see a sculpture form, but here is where we're going to stop for today. And if you can get this done, okay, we'll be ready for part 2. So remember, you can always go back and watch the video and pause me when you're ready for the next step, because I do know that sometimes it's hard to make something and watch something at the same time, okay? So get this part made and we'll be ready for part 2, and I will see you next week, okay? So have a great day starting your dragon, and I'll talk to you soon, boys and girls. Bye!